Welcome everybody back to Friar Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about Ha-Seong Kim. Going to be talking about the trade rumors surrounding him. Now, why we haven't recorded, obviously, Shohei Ohtani signed. We had Lee signed. We had a few guys signed. Had a lot of kind of cards fall. Obviously, the Dodgers offseason got really ridiculous since we've talked. The Giants offseason has got ridiculous, and a lot of people are kind of questioning now what the Padres' direction is moving forward, especially for this season. So this week, we're going to have a segment on Kim. If something happens in regards to the Padres, like either like a super serious rumor or they sign something or something along those lines, we will talk about it. However, our plan is we're going to go live Saturday afternoon, probably during one of the later football games that day, and we're just going to kind of do probably a pretty decent long stream, just kind of talking about where the Padres are currently at and talk about, the Ohtani move, the other moves that we've seen, and just kind of like, hey, this is what we think the Padres should do moving forward. So Saturday, we're going to do that. We're going to go live. We haven't gone live in a while. I'm expecting, I think all three of us are going to be able to make it. So I'll have a time updated probably like Thursday or Friday, and I'll have it on YouTube. So if you guys want to hop on, it will be there. I'll probably tweet something out as well. So, that's the case. But for today, we're going to talk about Ha-Seong Kim, and there are a lot of rumors about him getting traded. And I have kind of two thoughts on this. One, if you're kind of packing it all in this year, not all the way, but like you're almost using this as like a reset year. You're like, hey, Dodgers just got Ohtani. They're probably getting Yamamoto. Like they're probably going to stack up pretty big. The Giants are making some moves. The pitchers are just insanely expensive. You're not going to get Bellinger, right? Like it's just like you have all these holes all over your roster. You just want to recoup some assets and kind of go more in for 2025. It makes sense. I don't think the Padres are wanting to do that because they have Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, and they have a bunch of players that are older, and a lot of their core is older. So I don't think they're going to do that. But if that is the plan, I think it makes sense. The part where I don't think it makes any sense is what I just said. They have older players. And also, you just traded Juan Soto. I get the Korea series isn't that big of a deal. It's 2 games. But you're also set up where you have the series in Seoul, and you would be trading Juan Soto and Ha-Seong Kim, who are your 2 most valuable players last year. That's a hard one to pitch to the fans who just watched you hype up, make a playoff run, then go like, hey, this is us for the future, and then miss the playoffs. And then if you just turn around and trade Juan Soto and Ha-Seong Kim, it's going to look really bad. And especially like, we talk about it, like there's definitely like Kim could regress. Now he's got better every year, but if we're being realistic, he could regress. His bat isn't super crazy. Now he is probably the best defensive infielder in the entire MLB. He's a fantastic player. I'm not trying to take anything away from him at all. He's awesome. I don't want to see Kim on a different team. However, I could get behind the argument, but if you're pitching this to a casual Padre fan, someone that doesn't really watch the games, doesn't really pay attention that much, and they're like, they don't have Juan Soto and Ha-Seong Kim anymore, like, okay, like, why am I showing up? Like, people are actually going to think that. So that's why I don't really think it makes sense. On the other side, I think it kind of makes sense. But Isaac, what do you think about these Kim trade rumors? I've seen a lot of people really torn, and I've seen fair arguments on both sides. So what do you think about trading Ha-Seong Kim?
No, you're right. From a marketing standpoint, from a ticket sales standpoint, it doesn't make that much sense, and that's one of your most marketable players. Every time that he comes up to bat year, Ha-Seong Kim chants, people are starting to wear Ha-Seong Kim jerseys. He's very popular in Korea. It's a big market over there too that you're gaining, and yeah, losing him, it could be a hard thing to do in terms of that. The marketing, the business aspect, I guess you could say. Even on the field, man, he's a great player. He's produced 3 or 4 WAR, maybe even more each of the last 2 seasons. His bat's been pretty solid, especially for a second baseman last year. He was a very valuable bat outside of a bad stretch to end the season. But, there's pros and cons. Keeping him this year, you're going to keep a guy that's probably going to put up another 3 or 4 WAR year, have another valuable year at the plate, have another valuable year for your team. And he's going to be, one of the best defensive infielders in all of baseball. You see it here. Outs above average, 96th percentile. He's pretty fast. He's disciplined at the plate. However, are we really opposed to this? This is the problem with the Padres, that they sign guys at their peak. Jay Cronenworth got signed at his peak. Xander Bogaerts signed at his peak. And it hasn't worked out. It hasn't really worked out. So do we really want to extend Ha-Seong Kim while we're thinking, hey, man, I don't know if this guy's going to get much better than this. Are we going to give him money expecting him to get better than this? Or are we just going to expect the same production? Because personally, I don't expect him to get much better than this. And that's not a diss on him. He's great. He's fantastic. A 750 OPS with the type of defense he provides at second base or even shortstop. For a middle infielder, that's damn impressive. That's at least a 3 or 4 WAR season every year. However, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know if I can expect the Padres to compete this year. In the same week, you traded Juan Soto and your rival up north signed Shohei Ohtani. Jung-Hoo Lee, I'm not scared of that signing. I mean, hey, we wanted him, but for the amount of money that the Giants gave him, I don't think it's going to pan out. I really don't think it's going to pan out. I'll be honest. And that's not me being, oh, my team didn't get him, so I'm going to hate. No. Ha-Seong Kim got $7 million out of Korea, and that's with his type of defense that he plays and a similar bat to Jung-Hoo Lee. Jung-Hoo Lee got $18 million. I'm pretty sure Ha-Seong Kim's highest home run or his highest year with home runs in Korea was 30. Jung-Hoo Lee's is 23. So massive bargain for the Padres and massive overpay for Jung-Hoo Lee, who I think, hey, if you're paying him $18 million, you're paying him expecting him to be his very best. I don't think he's worth more than 18 even at his very best. So with that being said, yes, it was a bad week for you. You had a very bad week. You acquired, and we talked about this, Michael King, all these guys that they acquired. Hey, it's great that they're getting pitchers, young pitchers that are controllable for a few years. The pitching market, it sucks. I understand why they traded for pitchers, man. I mean, it's an expensive market out there. Shohei Ohtani just got $700 million, yes, but obviously we all saw how that works out in terms of the CBT and even payroll itself, which is unfortunate. But I mean, he's basically making 35 mils a hitter, 35 mils a pitcher, or however you want to outline it, right? It's a lot. It's a lot of money, man. And even guys I expect Blake Snell to get a fat payday. Aaron Nola, I don't feel like he was that expensive, but who knows what we can expect. I think the market will be set with Blake Snell, and then we'll start seeing things fall. Marcus Stroman. But even some guys that we had, I think Seth Lugo went for $15 million a year. That's a lot, man. And he had a great year last year, but $15 million a year is a lot for someone like Seth Lugo. And so that makes me understand why we traded for some pitching, why we traded unfortunately, our most valuable asset for pitching. But either way, it doesn't make it feel any better, right? You had a pretty bad week. And this is all after your owner passed away. It's been rough. It's been rough sledding. All of 2023 has been rough sledding for the San Diego Padres. And it's not getting much better. I'm sure we cannot wait for this year to end. And from a fan standpoint, you don't want this year to end with Ha-Seong Kim leaving either. I completely understand that. From a fan standpoint, you're saying, hell no. Why? He's one of our best players. He's electric. He's one of our team guys. He's one of the clubhouse leaders, or however you want to say it. He's one of the most loved guys, right? Then you start thinking about it. He's only got one more year. We don't know if he'll come back next year. I believe it's a mutual option. So now you're saying, shoot, man, well, if we don't really see ourselves competing this year, should we just get some assets for one of the most valuable infielders in baseball? And I say that because he only cost $7 million and he's putting up the type of production that he's putting up right now. So I'd say he's one of the more valuable guys if he were to hit the trade market. And let's just get pitching, or let's just get younger. Let's just get, I don't know, whatever you want, really. I feel like you can get a decent amount for Ha-Seong Kim. Now, again, from a fan standpoint, completely understand if you're going to come into our comments and say you guys are stupid. Well, would we ever do this? But look, this could very well be a resetting year for the Padres. They don't want to go over $200 million. There's probably a reason for it. They probably want to reset. They probably want to reset like the Dodgers did last year. Now, unfortunately, we're not as good as the Dodgers, nor will we probably ever be, unfortunately. And that's from an organizational standpoint, developing, making good guys great, great guys Hall of Famers, bad guys good, stuff like that. I don't think we'll ever be able to do that. I don't think the Padres have shown the capability of doing that. So, our retooling or rebuilding or refreshing year, whatever you want to call it, it won't be like theirs. We'll probably lose a lot. And that's unfortunate because you're wasting a year of Manny Machado. You're wasting a year of Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts. If you keep them, Ha-Seong Kim and Jake Cronenworth, Joel Musgrove, you Darvish, you name them, you're wasting them, right? And it's a very unfortunate reality. But we're going to find out come January or February what the Padres plan on doing. Because now I don't really know where they're looking in the free agent market. Are they going to look towards Cody Bellinger? Is Cody Bellinger someone you're comfortable signing for the amount of money he's projected to get? That's a guy that comes to San Diego and it's immediately not good anymore. That's the harsh truth. That is Cody Bellinger is that kind of guy. There are plenty of those on the market. So I don't know what the Padres plan on doing. They got to fill out their if they're planning on competing, they got to get some good bats via free agency because I don't know who they're going to trade for. And if they're going to be in the market for pitching, you're going to have to go through the trade market. So either way, if you want to compete, you got to fork up money and fork up prospects because, I mean, you've really put yourself in a bad position. So if we don't see them competing, we'll know because they would have traded Ha-Seong Kim by then.
Yeah, no, I mean, it also would depend on what the return is. I've seen some like projected offers that are just like crap, where it's like, okay, they're not going to do that. Like, it's like, why? What is the point of that? But I think you're right, and I also think like it's interesting because obviously this is our problem. We thought the Padres got absolutely fleeced by the Juan Soto deal. Like the Kim deal might not look that far off, which is dumb. It's really, really dumb. But think about it. Ha-Seong Kim is on a 1-year deal with a mutual option that he's going to reject 100%. I don't think there's any chance he doesn't reject his side. He makes $7 million. Juan Soto is making $33 million. Juan Soto had a very few number of suitors. Kim could get traded somewhere and they could immediately try to come to an extension. Like they could make a deal to trade for Kim and then he goes there and then he extends with that team when he is traded there. So like sign and trade. But and like he's going to be valuable. He's young. But like that's why we didn't think the Soto trade was smart. Like, okay, you traded Juan Soto. You got Michael King. Okay, and your rotation is not very good. Okay, cool. Now you have 2 outfield spots to fill. Now you only have $132 million in payroll right now. That's like their projection after arbitration. Supposedly can add $68 million payroll, but it's like you can go spend $25 million a year on Cody Bellinger. Well, you just traded Juan Soto. That was 30. Like, what are we doing? Like, so that's why I don't really understand what's happening. And that's what we're when we go live, we'll talk more about it and kind of get what other people are thinking too. Cause it's like, all right, like where are the Padres at? That's really going to be our discussion when we do the live stream. And I think there's so much to kind of unravel. I don't think by Saturday we're going to have an answer to that. Maybe they'll make a move and we'll be like, okay, this is a direction. But they almost seem like flustered right now. Doesn't it feel like that, Isaac? Like there's nothing. There's nothing.
They seem lost. AJ Preller seems lost. It seems like he doesn't know what to do. And I thought that Soto trade was stupid. And hey, I mean, we're all going to have different takes. I understand, hey, from a business perspective, from an opening payroll perspective, maybe this was your only move. But A, teams that trade the superstar almost never win the trade. B, damn, I had B in my head. Now I kind of just forgot. But anyway, I don't think the return was that great, man. I mean, you just gave up Ted Williams light for whatever the hell you got out of it. And don't get me wrong, I think those pitchers can be solid.
Let me tell you, Michael King better be good, bro.
Yeah, he better be good, right? Exactly. That's the thing. He better be good. The problem is you went from having one of the top lineups, at least top heavy lineups in baseball, or at least one of the top 4 in baseball. You traded it for pitching, and now you have a middling rotation. You went from having a powerful part of your team to now no part of your team is really that powerful. it's all just mediocre. Unless Manny and Xander have the years that are typical of them, and Fernando has an MVP type year, or I mean, what else is there?
Unless you move Fernando to center and he goes Mike Trout for you,
Yeah,
and
pretty much, right?
the pitching is actually there.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
then
bullpen's also super super scary.
yeah, it's still not that good, right? That's the thing, is it's just a whole middling team, and if you're looking at the corners, right? Yeah, sure. Hey, Fernando just had an MVP type season. What's his name? Marcy, something, Jacob Marcy or something like that. And Jackson Murrow are playing left field and right field. What the hell are we doing? Why did we trade? I mean, whatever. I get it. I understand the move. I just don't like the move. So, yeah, realistically, I think this could be the type of year where we're saying you might have to retool. You might have to regroup. Think about 2025. And like I said, we'll know if they trade Ha-Seong. If they don't, that's probably a sign that they're still trying to win this year. And hey, crazier things happen. Nobody expected Diamondbacks to make the World Series, Nationals, yada, yada, yada. Braves from the year before, whatever. Phillies even not in 2022, whatever, right? Things could happen. Truly, I mean, yeah, sure, the Dodgers got Otani. The lineup is okay. It's still good. It's probably like another 9,500 win Dodgers team. Hey, that's great for them. But if the Padres really wanted to, I think they could still compete. But realistically, maybe regrouping and trying to get back into that first luxury tax bracket is going to be their best bet for the following year.
Well, that's also the thing too, is like we've very clearly seen that if you go and make these splash moves, it doesn't translate. Like the Padres just did that with Xander Bogaerts. I was like, what did we want to do, bro? Last year, instead of signing Xander Bogaerts, what we wanted to do, and we brought up, was sign Jorge Soler, who had I think 38 home runs. Man, he would have been one sweet corner outfielder. You could have not had Grisham out there. You could have bumped Fernando to center in the offseason, had Soler in the outfield, also had him at DH. Oh, that would have been nice because then you could have just kept Grisham, and then you could have just had Soler at DH instead of Matt Carpenter.
Or
and Cody Bellinger.
Or our plan was, our original, one of the things we mentioned was to trade Grisham for, who was it, Pablo Lopez or something like that, or one of them, something like that.
Well, because remember there's the Grisham to the Twins rumors.
Yeah, and who's the pitcher that
It
was
wasn't Lopez. It was it Sonny Gray? No,
might have been Sonny Gray. I forgot who, but it was for a pitcher that was pretty good. So I mean, yeah, the thing with Preller is he always likes the shiny new toys when he didn't really need one. Sorry, I'm talking kind of a lot, but yeah, that was a problem last year, man. I didn't like. I mean, of course, we liked the Xander signing at first. Who wouldn't, right? Xander Bogaerts, one of the best players in baseball, but you look back at it and you think that team probably could have been a lot better if they just used that 25 million more wisely and not try to build a super team.
One thing that they have to do this year is they have to actually have a real first base and DH, like real first baseman and a real DH. They think about it, dude. Look who the Padres have had at first base and DH. They've had Hosmer, and then when they didn't have Hosmer, they had their first base tandem when they made a run was Josh Bell and Brandon Drury. And everyone wants to like freak out about, oh, Brandon Drury was so amazing. Josh Bell sucked. It's like, okay, well, they actually weren't really that far apart in the regular season. But Josh Bell had a bunch of clutch hits in the postseason, dude. He had multiple home runs. Like, it was like, dude, like, that was so much better than what that's the only time they've ever done that. Seriously. And then this year they're like, okay, let's move our second baseman to first base. Okay, that is just blatantly stupid. And then let's have Matt Carpenter and Nelson Cruz. And I was like, all right, Nelson Cruz. My thought was like, I don't really know about Matt Carpenter. That seems a little sus. Because you have Nelson Cruz, one of them will probably pan out. Then they cut Nelson Cruz, even though he's playing better than Matt Carpenter, because Carp's a lefty, and Carp just sucks all year. And it's like, wow. Like, so the Padres can be a lot better if they just don't do that type of stuff. Like, just doing that, like that alone will have a huge difference, I think. But I don't think these things are even like around like about trading Cam. Like, I think that's just like the overall direction, and it depends like either way that they need to do that,
Yeah, and the thing with the Carpenter and the Cruz signing is that it felt like Preller was trying to make a move to prove he was smarter than everyone else, right? He was like, "Oh, we can fix Carpenter and we expect a bounce back from Cruz." Um, Obviously, wasn't the case. Carpenter had a very small stint where he was good in New York, and Cruz was clearly. I mean, sure, we bought into the eye procedure stuff, but he was washed. But no, you're right, man. The Brandon Drury, Josh Bell tandem, it wasn't great, but it was good. It was solid. It worked. Um, and
Garrett Cooper.
Garrett Cooper worked. Yeah, Garrett Cooper was a pretty damn good trade. Um, Whenever they've had actual first baseman, man, it's been a pretty decent team. And I'm not gonna solely blame Jake Cronenworth. It's not all his fault or anything, but shoot, man, it's just some things that baseball doesn't have to be made so complicated. The guy's a middle infielder. Why are you moving him to a spot where a guy's supposed to hit 20 plus home runs? He's only done that once, and it was 22 or 23, whatever it was, or 21, one of those. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like positionless baseball doesn't always work. And I say positionless because, you're having a first baseman play or a second baseman play first base. You had a former shortstop playing right field, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Um, but yeah, man, it was a little complicated seeing what they were trying to do last year. Um, but even then, when the lineup actually started coming around was when Garrett Cooper stepped in. He's a solid first baseman. Gary Sanchez DHing today with Campusano behind the bump or behind the plate, vice versa, whatever it is, right? Just getting power in your lineup. And the thing with this, Ha-Seong Kim thing is that it would hurt. It would hurt a lot, right? Of course, I understand that. He's a fan favorite, but realistically, if you're going to build your best team for, let's say they don't want to really go all in on 2024, they're just saying, hey, screw it. We make the playoffs. That's great. If not, whatever. You go all in on 2025 and you get a pitcher out of Ha-Seong Kim that ends up being even just a bullpen arm. You're getting more value out of someone. You're getting more value out of Ha-Seong Kim in 2025 because because of that bullpen arm, right? That probably sounds awkward or sounds weird to say to some of you, but the value that you're getting out of him would be for an arm that could actually help because we don't have a lot of those. So that just depends, man, on if the Padres are all in on 2024 or not. I don't think they are, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it also just depends too, like who is the guy they get, or who are the guys that they get, or do they actually want to bring him back? Like, because if they're also like if they want to bring him back, then it's like, okay, then you don't make this trade. But then the question becomes, are you just gonna do this positionless baseball again because it doesn't work? Like, it I would say, like, Isaac, you brought it up, like it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's dumb. It doesn't like, it just, you can't function like that. Yeah, you can have a guy like Chris Taylor or Jake Cronenworth on your bench. That's where it works. But like being like, okay, because that's the whole thing is like, if you get value out of like, we have a plus out, like for instance, like if you have a plus hitting center fielder, well, okay, that doesn't mean that your right fielder shouldn't be able to hit. It means that you double down and you get a right fielder that can slug, and you go, look at our outfield, bro. We got all the guys that can slug. There's only 5 teams in the league that have a center fielder that can hit 20 home runs. Now look at this advantage that we're at. Oh, Luis Campusano can hit a catcher. We have a huge advantage there. That doesn't mean, okay, ignore DH then. Like, so use a DH, bro. Like, that's the part that I never understand, is where it's like, and that's been the same thing with Preller every single year. Like, and that part has not changed. The pitching depth has not changed. Like, they had pitching depth. Guess what? First half of 22. That's it. Only year they ever had pitching depth. And it's like, these are things that like every single team. Look what the Dodgers did last year. Who'd they get at DH? JD Martinez. Dude, they just have competent guys. Like, just having competent players filling the roles that they play is so much important than just having like names and talent across the board. So that's what you're kind of looking at with the Kim trade, is like, okay, where's this going? And if you don't trade Kim, then it probably means that you're going to have to try to trade Cronenworth. Maybe not in the offseason, but maybe during the season. So that's what I think another thing would be to look at too. Is like one of them would have to get moved if you're going to try to like extend Kim or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But but yeah, that's kind of it, I think, for the Ha-Seong Kim trade. Anything else you got, Isaac? We'll talk more. And we ended up talking like half about, just the Padres in general, but we'll go live on Saturday. We'll talk a lot more about that then. So I'm guessing like afternoon, evening. I don't know what time yet. I'll post about it though. So I think as far as Kim goes, though, let us know what you think. You want to trade Kim? Or not even do you want to trade Kim? I don't think anyone wants to trade Kim. But do you think it's smart to trade Kim? Do you think getting a couple arms, probably just bullpen arms, maybe a starter, something like that, makes sense if you're going to let him walk? Or do you think that he's like, this guy has to be an extension candidate? Because like that's a super fair take too. So, but yeah, let us know what you think. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I do also agree, Isaac. I think if you trade Kim, you're in a way throwing in the towel for this year. Not all the way, but like it's gonna feel like that. It's really gonna feel like that. So, but yeah, that's all I got. So we'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night and talk to you soon. See you on Saturday.